Tonight's headlines are brought to you by McDonald's.
Good evening, Commonwealth, and thanks for watching the Channel 2 News. I am Sally Lemus. Let's take a look at tonight's top stories. Government employees have a month before austerity kicks in. Also tonight, if airline services stop, what will happen to the employees? And residents urged to attend tsunami evacuation meetings. In sports, one of our girls out in Palestine tells us her preparations for the game. Stay with us, we have these stories and more up next.
Everybody feel it, come around with the rhythm, it's a sound. If you feel it, come around with round. Everybody feel it, come around with the rhythm, it's a sound. Everybody get down when we give it to you. Everybody feel it, come around with everybody in the pump. 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 Everybody round.
We knew it was time to make these when we started asking things like, wouldn't it be nice to be able to get a warm cinnamon roll right now? And why can't this kind of muffin come from the same place as a McMuffin? And isn't your coffee lonely without company from a glazed apple fritter? Well, consider these our 3 resounding yeses. Meet the new bakery sweets at McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Half a day to the Wami and good evening, Commonwealth. Today is Friday, March 10, 2023. The process to revise the fiscal year 2023 budget is underway. Government employees under the executive branch are expected to get a 72 work-hour schedule instead of 80. But there is a timeline and lawmakers need to work now. There is quick action up on the Hill to review the governor's budget revision proposal for fiscal year 2023. On Thursday, Vice Chairman B.J. Attal informed House members that the Ways and Means Committee will be meeting on Monday to address the Budget Act.
As we all know, that the ARPA was responsible for 20% of the salaries of the individual employees of the government. Those are definitely cut off, and 100% of our operations was paid for by ARPA. Those are cut off, so we need to get down and really do a lot of the legwork.
The committee is also finalizing the concurrent resolution for the budget revision. On the other side of the legislature, the Senate Committee on Fiscal Affairs met with Acting Finance Secretary Tracy Narita and Special Assistant for the Office of Management and Budget Vicky Villagomez to learn more about the revised budget. Villagomez says the next step is to send out the 30-day notice to government employees regarding the reduced working schedule.
The letter has been reviewed by OPM and as well as the Office of the Attorney General. So now we're waiting for the governor to issue that letter. However, I think it would be best if that letter goes out now rather than wait for the budget to be addressed, because if we have to wait, then we were buying ourselves another 30 days, and without any action at all, it would be costing the Commonwealth government about 115,000 per day.
The hope is to get those letters out by next week. Senate President Edith Dulon Guerrero asked if there are any federal grants that could cover the cut 8 hours of personal pay.
And I understand we're talking about a modified budget, a little here and there, but have we extended further out our effort in looking at those federal grants within each particular executive branch department? And can we qualify an additional 8 hours of expense for payroll to save the lives of our people, to complete 80 hours per pay period, and it doesn't take away from local revenue? Can we work on that?
Villagomez further discloses that the government would need $9.3 million to pay for the 8 hours for the remaining fiscal year. But she has reached out to all department heads and encouraged them to look for possible revenue sources that would pay for a full paycheck. Villagomez says so far she's heard back from only one department.
Looking at the number of employees that she only has 22 FTEs overall total, the Department of Labor, and she was able to accommodate all of her employees at the full 80 hours.
The 8-hour cut is proposed for employees under the executive branch only. The legislative and judicial branch has the option to follow the governor's recommendation. The Palacios-Apatang administration stressed on minimizing the pain as they continue to work on the CNMI government budget. A fiscal summit held in 2020 did bring in some painful recommendations, which is worth revisiting according to Governor Palacios. Let's take a look back on what some of those may be. Governor Arnold Palacios and Lieutenant Governor David Apatang have transmitted a budget revision to the legislature on Wednesday, proposing a $26 million cut from the current Budget Act. One of the cost containment measures includes the Department of Public Lands and the Department of Lands and Natural Resources signing a memorandum of agreement for DPL to absorb 50% of DONR's personnel costs for grounds maintenance, specifically those who works around the beaches, parks, and highways. This was one of the recommendations from a fiscal response summit held in 2020, which was attended by officials from all three branches of government, autonomous agencies, and officials who represent the private sector. Governor Palacios says other recommendations from the summit may be incorporated into next year's budget. Some of the recommendations includes cutting the size of the legislature in half from 20 representatives to 10 and 9 senators to 6. It also recommends to abolish the municipal councils and reform taxes. Another big recommendation is the merger of departments, specifically the Finance and Commerce Department, DYS and Youth Affairs, Indigenous Affairs, Carolinian Affairs, and DCCA, DONR and DPL, Fire, DPS and Corrections, DPW and the Offices of the Mayor, Commerce and Labor, Commerce and CEDA, NMTI and NMC, Parks and Recs and DPL, and Grants and Finance.
Today, the situation that the revision that we're proposing is time sensitive, and so we don't want that to be part of the discussion right now, because we want to try to minimize the controversy that some of those recommendations, like additional taxes on some items and whatnot, but certainly the 2024 budget code will give us that time to consider that, and also the legislature will have time to consider those proposals.
Some cost containment measures stem from the summit and already implemented by Governor Palacios are a reduced work schedule for government employees, suspension of within-grade increases, cancellation of phones and land leases, and much more. MSA employees and the big company, Southern Airways, say they are reaching out to the NMI government to talk, but have received no response yet. Employees of Mariana Southern Airways received a letter announcing the possible suspension of airline services due to the termination of contract from the NMI government. In the letter, Southern Airways Chairman and CEO Stan Little detailed the negotiation with the previous administration and its ongoing attempt to meet with the new administration. Little stated, quote, "I have sent the governor a lengthy letter explaining our position and our desire to find a path forward. As of yet, we have received no reply," unquote. Little further states they reached out to the new administration since the inauguration, but no calls were returned nor were meetings arranged. The $8 million sole source contract between MSA and the NMI government was not known until this year. Governor Palacios has previously and publicly stated that there is no more money to fulfill the contract. The letter to MSA employees advises them that if the governor refuses to engage, then they will be forced to suspend service. Little tells the employees that they will receive a job offer of some kind somewhere, which does suggest relocation. A severance package will be offered to those who may not be able to relocate. An MSA employee reached out to KSPN asking, quote, "Please support us. Kind offer from Southern, but here is home," unquote. The employee further stated they have tried to call the governor, but there is no answer. The employee says they are ignored and they don't want to share their names that may cause trouble to their families. Crime Stoppers is seeking the public assistance for whereabouts and location of 2 individuals. The Rad Ramangmao and Corey Leon have failed to appear in scheduled court hearings. Bench warrants have been signed and issued for the arrest of Ramangmao and Leon by the Sinamay Superior Court. DPS and Crime Stoppers need your help. You can call the hotline at 234-7272 should you want to remain anonymous, or use their website at www.nmicrimestoppers.net. Crime Stoppers pays up to $1,000 for any information leading to an arrest. What are the protocols in case of a tsunami? Where do we go? Officials host meetings around the island to get input from residents. As part of the National Hazard Mitigation Program, the Sinamay Homeland Security and Emergency Management is holding town meetings around the island of Saipan for tsunami evacuation plans. Robbie Green is a geographer from Pacific Coastal Research and Planning, and through the meetings has been collecting data to enhance mapping efforts.
What I've been working on is the actual delineation of potential inundation areas on the island, revising those with some newer modeling data, and then trying to get input both from the community with the town halls as well as key stakeholder agencies and key government personnel. And over the course of all the town halls that we're holding over these 2 weeks, as well as our meetings on Rhoda and Tinian, we are generating a lot of input.
Green, along with Homeland officials, presents activities that allows residents to engage with the mapping plans for safe evacuation in the event of a tsunami. All those information will then be inputted into mapping software that will create a revised evacuation map. Current data shows that the NMI is relatively safe for any possible tsunamis.
And if you talk to most folks in the community and even folks in the agencies here that work with coastal hazards, I think there's a general feeling that our position in the Pacific Ocean, the bathymetry, the depth of the waters out here, as well as the size of our islands and our protective barrier reefs, we have very little threat compared to places like Japan or even the Philippines, even Hawaii. Guam even has a greater threat than us. It's just larger landmass, there's bays, there's inlets, there's areas for tsunami waves to kind of amplify and go inland. We're relatively safe, but we are located right along the Marianas Trench. And
This means if an 8.5 earthquake along the Marianas Trench happens at the right angle, it could possibly generate a wave of over 11 meters.
The reef line and the beaches would break most of that. But the entire west coast of Saipan, especially down south, is particularly prone. The reef line comes in pretty close to shore down around PIC. So the San Antonio and CK areas actually do have a fair amount of vulnerability. And as we all know, there's schools down there and a lot of residents. So basically from Garapan down to San Antonio, that's kind of our focus, and that's why we want to have these town halls, is make sure folks have an idea of where it needs to be evacuated, but also not overdoing it.
Town hall meetings will continue throughout next week. You can join them on Tuesday, March 14 at the Marianas High School or Thursday, March 16 at Hopper Junior High. Both will be held at 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. All right, coming up, looking for a weekend activity? This one might just be for you. Stay tuned.
Fast, fun, and easy. That's how your home Wi-Fi should be. So start with an internet plan that fits your budget. Introducing your home Wi-Fi starter pack, also known as WISP. Enjoy up to 25 megabits per second for as low as $35 a month. Plus, a free router with your wireless subscription. That's hours of movies, games, social media, and more endless fun. Get your Wi-Fi starter pack today only at Docomo Pacific. Better together. Additional conditions may apply.
Opioids are commonly prescribed drugs. They can help ease short-term pain after surgery, an accident, or illness. Common brand names include Vicodin, Demerol, OxyContin, and Percocet. Opioids can be very addictive, and they can actually change how your brain works. Opioid misuse can lead to death. If you are prescribed an opioid medication, talk to your doctor. Always take exactly as directed, never take higher doses, keep your medication secure, and safely dispose of unused or expired medication. It only takes a little to lose a lot.
This project was supported by a grant from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and the Commonwealth Healthcare Corporation. Contents are solely the responsibility of CHCC and do not necessarily represent the official views of the CDC or the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. At one of Saipan's beaches, this mother lays about 100 eggs under the cover of darkness. She hides her nest as best she can and then slowly makes her way back to the ocean. The eggs hatch and the babies head for the sea, where they will face a daily dose of danger. Just 1 in 1,000 will make it to adulthood. Those that do will one day lay their own eggs. Sea turtles are protected under CNMI law. If you see one that is stranded or if you see illegal activity, call the hotline at 287-8537.
Welcome back to the Channel 2 News. Every Saturday for 2,000 Saturdays, this weekend you can be part of history. Our Chris Nelson files a special report.
This Saturday, the Saipan Hash House Harriers will run, walk, hike, sludge, trudge, meander, crawl, wriggle, squirm, climb, wade, tramp, plod, march, scamper, dash, gallop. I think I'm out of synonyms. And perhaps fly their way between 2 points, a starting point and an ending point. Along the way, there will be a trail. It could be a real trail, it could be a false trail, but ultimately it will lead to some cool place on the island of Saipan, and those who love the hash will enjoy the destination and the journey.
Started back all the way in 1984 with a ragtag group out of Guam. There's actually a few of those people on island this weekend celebrating with us. So it's something very monumental. We continued through each of the major super typhoons, even with debris and no water or ice. Through COVID, one person at a time would still go out and set the trail of flower even though there was no one else to follow. So it's been a great journey, and I'm really excited to see what this one will bring this weekend.
This weekend is a major milestone. Now, the Hash is either a running club or a running problem. It depends on who you ask, and it happens every Saturday afternoon. You've probably seen a few people with gloves on coming out of the jungle. They also wear long socks and come out different places around the island looking intent or looking lost. And this scene has happened 1,999 times. This weekend, it will be the 2,000th running of the Hash House Harriers. Keith Longuski will be one of the hares. These are the rabbits that set the trail. They change every week, and everyone needs to follow their trail. They mark the way with flour, which they throw on the ground every few steps or so. Local tennis coach Jeff Race ran back as early as run number 100 and says he's looking forward to this weekend.
It's probably the only organization that has met unfailingly every single week for 2,000 times in a row and never missed, even whether there was a typhoon or something. At least some people got together and set a trail.
The Hash does have some eccentricities. Frequent attendees are given Hash names that can range from amusing to awkward. And after the run, the attendees gather at a place called the On Home. They light a campfire and tell jokes and stories and tales from the trail.
I think there's some people from Guam. Guam is the sort of mother hash of the Saipan Hash House Harriers. And so there's some people coming over from Guam, and I think there's always a big turnout. We have some people who were on the first run. Charlie and Debbie Novigradic are here, and they'll be on the run with us, so that'll be fun.
And you have a Hash name. What is it?
Cheetah! And I have cheetah shorts. Tight ones.
Here are the logistics for Saturday, and you are welcome to join.
So the Hash is a great opportunity to explore Saipan. You'll get to go places that you don't normally see, that most tours won't take you to. I went this past weekend and I still found a place I've never been to in living almost 10 years here. So it's always exhilarating. It's a great group of people. The exercise is wonderful. And there's always refreshments at the end.
And some people run. Tell me, some people run, some people walk. How do you get through the trail?
So majority of the people walk, because some of the terrain is a little too difficult to run. I would say about maybe 5% of the people actually run anymore. We're all getting a little older, but it adds some excitement to it. You get a prize if you end up running fast enough to the end. So that's what the goal is for us in the front, but it can be enjoyed by many. I think the last trail we did there we ranged from 21 years old to 76, I believe.
All right. And tell me about the logistics for this weekend. Where does it start? How do you do it if you want to join?
So if you want to join the 2000 Hash this weekend, we're taking it back to the old school, which is we'll meet up at Bank of Guam at 1500 sharp. That's 3 p.m.
Longuski says they expect about 100 or so people. Cost is $15, which includes food and drinks at the end. On. That's what you say when you see a little patch of flour. That lets the other runners know that you are on trail. Chris Nelson for the Channel 2 News.
Tonight, the Saipan Community School performing their final number at the Tumon Bay Music Festival. Our Chris Nelson has the story.
David Park is an 8th grader at Saipan Community. He plays in the back row in Guam where he can keep an eye on what's happening.
Mr. Lee and Mr. Kui, they're both very chill. They really like to give us freedom, but they're still strict on that freedom. They're like, if you cross my line, that's when we'll stop and we'll punish you. But most of the time they don't. They're very funny also.
SCS performed 5 songs for their opening set at the Tumon Bay Musical Festival. Park's favorite?
My favorite? Probably the last one, because the last one has a very good ending, and I like endings.
The U2 song was originally released in 1987 on the Joshua Tree album. It has a distinct gospel flavor to it, and it's one of the Irish rock band's greatest hits. And as the 7th and 8th graders finish up their set, they finish with a little curtain call at the end. Chris Nelson for the Channel 2 News.
Thank you, Chris. Now, folks, don't go anywhere. We have sports up next.
Need a new phone? Trade in now and get up to $500 off our best 5G devices. Trade in your older phone in any condition and step up to better savings and speeds only our 5G network can provide. Check out our website and catch up on the best mobile experience. Trade in now. Docomo Pacific. Better together.
Freshness. It's the overall reason beer drinkers choose draft beer. And that's the reason Godfather's is making a serious commitment to offering their customers a full lineup of draft beer on tap. Choose from Lagunitas IPA, Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, Lost Coast Downtown Brown Ale, Fat Tire, Blue Moon, and more. All competitively priced. Godfather's Bar now serving the island's widest selection of ice cold beer right from the tap. Godfather's Bar, where everybody's family.
Hey, golfers, come north and practice your game at the Marianas Driving Range. New Year's local specials. 10-piece coupon books available for just $60. That's a $10 savings. Want to get really good? Come work on your swing every day for just $99 per month. It's our practice pass and you're going to love it. Grab your passes and go straight to the range. You can social distance and chip all at the same time, and the views are free. Reserve now at marianastrekking.com. You can pay online, open 7 days a week.
The Tan Soo Lin Foundation promotes the culture of giving back. The foundation and its generous partners are committed to supporting programs that include health, education, and sports. Initiatives that promote arts and culture, the environment, and tourism will benefit our community and our residents. Giving back and making a difference will help ensure that the island paradise we call home will be a better place to live.
Tonight's sports brought to you in part by Tan Holdings through the Tan Soo Lin Foundation, making communities a better place to live.
Buenas sports fans.
The NMI U20 women's national soccer team is in Palestine right now, preparing for a game against the host country. We feature one of the girls out there now who tells us exactly how she got there. Always train hard, work harder, and never give up. A quote by Marcus Rashford.
Young Star Shining, brought to you by the Tan Su Lin Foundation.
Tonight's Young Star is a senior student from Marianas High School who is very passionate with the sport of soccer. Here is Jana Casarino.
My name is Jana Nulio Casarino. I'm 18 years old. I go to Marianas High School and I am 12th grade.
Casarino is a member of the NMI U20 women's national team. She started playing the sport at a very young age.
I kind of just started with like playing for fun at my house with some of my friends who also played soccer. But eventually they asked me to join their team, Matanza, and I kind of just fell in love with the game from there. I think the reason why I love playing the game so much is because it really like takes me away from like everyday problems and just like it's really like stress-free, you know. Yeah.
She also plays for the Shirley's Football Club. They won the championship last season and she is very proud to be a part of this team.
Well, I play in the women's league, so they're pretty strong. Last season we were actually the champions of the league, and yeah, they're an interesting team. They're definitely full of really cool people.
Casarino and her team are in Palestine right now to compete in the Asian Football Confederation. She shares her preparation for the tournament.
Preparation definitely takes like work months in advance because of how like competitive it is. So basically I just like, you know, just come to training, work hard, you know, make sure I eat healthy like months in advance so I can get into the best like physical condition that I can be for the competition.
This is not the first time for our young star to compete outside the CNMI.
I've been to many different places. Like for example, I went to Tajikistan before, and it was definitely a really great experience to learn more about like how different countries play and how competitive it is outside of the CNMI.
She also tells us how she manages her time between school and soccer training.
Well, right now I only have one class because I took a couple online classes during the summer when I had free time. So I guess it's kind of easy for me to manage my schoolwork and soccer at the same time. Yeah.
Casarino is very delighted to have a coach who inspires her to train hard and be a better player.
Actually, one of our coaches over there, Coach Angie, she definitely inspires me a lot to work hard and to continue my passion with the sport.
Do your best and work hard is her advice to the younger generation out there.
To work hard no matter what, and even if the competition is way better than you, way more skilled, way stronger, like just put your heart out and do your best, because at the end of the day, like if you do your best, like you'll feel like you won.
Young Star Shining, brought to you by the Tan Su Lin Foundation.
Everybody feel it come around with the rhythm, it's a sound. If you feel it come around with round. Everybody feel it come around with the rhythm, it's a sound. Everybody get down when we give it to you. Everybody feel it come around with everybody in the front. Everybody in the front. Everybody in the front. Everybody in the front.
Hi, I'm Dre, one of the personal trainers here at Goat's Gym, and today we're going to be going over the leg press. Now I have here with me is Vince, and he's going to show you how to execute it properly in 2 different ways. A common mistake that you'll often see is leaving your hands free, either up here or on your lap. I strongly recommend you holding onto the sled and create that tension in the upper body, which then allows you to create more range of motion. So with his current foot placement, he was feeling it on his legs, his quads. Now with a simple adjustment by placing his foot a little higher on the platform and his toes pointed out slightly, he's going to transfer that tension, which was previously on his legs, onto his hamstrings and glutes. Again, he's gonna grab onto the sled, creating that bracing effect up here.
And for your KSPN weather report, mostly sunny with isolated showers, east wind around 10 miles per hour. Tonight, partly cloudy with isolated showers, high 85, low 77. Humidity at 79%. Tomorrow, mostly sunny with isolated showers, east-southeast wind 5 to 9 miles per hour, high 86, low 77. Marine forecast winds will be gentle to moderate with combined seas of 5 to 7 feet through Sunday. An increase in north to northeast swell is expected to add an additional 1 or 2 feet to combined seas Sunday night into early next week, but should remain below hazardous thresholds. Wind also expected to become moderate to at time fresh. East to southeast wind 10 knots, wind waves 2 feet or less, northeast swell 4 feet or less, and north 3 feet. Sunrise will be at 6:28 a.m., high tide 9:44 p.m., low tide 3:54, and the sunset 6:26 p.m. And that wraps up your Friday edition of the news, sports, and weather here in the Marianas. Thank you so much for watching the Channel 2 News. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you back on Monday.